What's happening, everybody? Week 4 is fully upon us. We are here. It's time for the Week 4 picks. We got our full slate of games. I'm about to go through all of these matchups and who we think is going to win. And I'm so pumped that football is just rolling along. Week 4, we start early in the morning. I'll definitely be up because my Minnesota Vikings are playing. They're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's take a look. The Vikings are favored by 2.5. And listen, so I'm not a homer. Last week, I actually picked the Bengals to win in Minnesota. So it's almost like being in a fight with your spouse, and then now they won you back. So I'm back on board. I'm picking the Vikings. I think they'll take care of business. I think their defense should be able to withstand the Pittsburgh offense. And then obviously with Carson Wentz, they just really got to manage the game on offense. I don't think it really is going to be high scoring, but 20-13 should do it. Something like that, even 17-13. So I got the Vikings in that one. All right, switching on over. The Chargers at the New York Giants. And guess who is quarterback for the Giants? It's Jackson Dart making his first NFL start. So I do think the Giants will be a little bit careful with them. Quick passes, kind of try to take it easy on them, not make them go crazy right away. And I do think the Giants have a good defense that could hold a team like the Chargers to not go off and be crazy on offense. But I still ultimately think the Chargers are just a better team. They made my top 5 rankings this week. So I got to give them love. 6.5 is the line. I think that's a tad bit high. I could see the Giants squeaking in and just losing by 6 or something like that, or even by a field goal. But I think the Chargers will get it done. So I'm taking the Chargers. Tennessee at Houston, 7.5. That's such a high line in my opinion, but I will take Houston. I think it's the season's on the line for them. And for Tennessee, you could say the season's on the line too, but they didn't have expectations that the Texans had. I mean, the Titans this season is about developing Cam Ward. The Texans, they're in year 3 of C.J. Stroud on his rookie deal, and this is supposed to be usually what you try to take advantage of is having that cheap contract for the quarterback. And right now they're on the verge of going 0-4. So they must win this game. So I definitely think the Texans are winning, but 7.5, that half point's kind of scaring me. I think they win by a field goal, like 24-17 or something like that. Washington, Atlanta. Atlanta got destroyed last week by the Panthers, 30-0. They made all these changes with their coaching staff. The coordinator is not going to be on the field. The wide receivers coach was fired. And I think it's basically them, being like, hey, we need to get this thing together. And they're playing a Washington team that's banged up. Terry McLaurin's not playing. Jaden Daniels is out again. Now, without Jaden Daniels last week, they still ended up winning their game. But I think it's in Atlanta. Atlanta will play more desperate. I think they got Bijan Robinson, who is obviously elite. So I'll take the Falcons, and I'm not Falcons by more than 1.5. Otherwise, I'm giving myself just 1 point to play with. New Orleans in Buffalo. This line is 14.5 for the Bills. That's crazy high, and guess what? I think they are going to surpass that. I think the Bills come out, light it up from the get-go. I mean, New Orleans got smacked in Seattle last week, and that was pretty ugly pretty early, and Buffalo, I think, is a better team. So I think the Bills will take care of business pretty early, and I expect their backups to be in the fourth quarter. So Buffalo for sure to win, and I would think they're going to cover that spread, even though it's crazy high. Philly at Tampa. Philly's favored by 3.5. The half point scares me, but I am taking the Eagles. I think Philly's just been, again, in my rankings, they're still number 1, Super Bowl champs, still undefeated since then. And I think Tampa Bay's banged up. Baker Mayfield's banged up. Tristan Wirfs, I think, is injured, might be out. Mike Evans now is out with a hamstring injury. So Tampa Bay's dealing with some injuries, and all their games have been close, barely winning kind of games. Whereas I think Philly, they thrive in winning close games because they can just dominate time of possession and run the ball and pound you that way. So I think Philly does something similar. The 3.5 scares me, though. I mean, I think it's close. I think they win by a field goal or so, but maybe they do win by 4. Maybe it is a 27-23 type of game, but give me the Eagles. And if I were to lean, I would say by over 3.5, just because I do like this Eagles team and the way they're a winning football team, and the Bucs are banged up. Cleveland at Detroit. The line is Detroit by 9.5. I think that's pretty high, solely because I think Cleveland's got a really good defense. But definitely I'm taking Detroit to win. But 9.5 is kind of high as well. So I'll take the points here. I think Detroit wins by like a touchdown or 8. But yeah, that seems like a high line to me. But, even if it's 23-14, I could see Detroit winning like that. But the half point scares me. But the Lions should get the job done. Carolina at New England. Tough with the line being so high as well at 5.5. But I actually do think New England handles business. But 5.5, these lines are so high this week. I don't get it. I guess with Buffalo, I did take the high points. So here I'm going to say it's going to be a close game. And New England will pull through, but by a field goal or something like that. Jacksonville at San Francisco. The Niners are favored by 3.5. This is my upset right here. I'm taking the Jaguars. Brock Purdy's coming back, so the 49ers will be a better strength. But I don't know. I think Jacksonville can surprise some people. I think they'll get the road win here. So I'm taking the Jaguars to actually win. That's my upset. The Colts at the Rams. Listen, I know I haven't really picked the Colts much, but just to tell y'all, I'm not hating on the Colts because I did pick the Colts to win the AFC North. Yeah, the AFC North. I picked, oh no, that's not the end. Sorry, the AFC South. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that's weird though because Indiana's not really South. But anyway, they're in the AFC South, and I picked the Colts to win the division. So don't say I'm hating on the Colts. But they have surprised me with some of these wins, and I didn't expect them to go 4-0 to start the season, which would be crazy. But I promise, if they win this one, I got to really start giving them respect and possibly even put them in my top 5 rankings. But I just don't see it. It's the Rams. They're coming off a bad loss to the Eagles where they led 26-7. So I think McVay's going to have his guys ready to play. 3.5, the half point scares me, but I'm taking them to win by more than 3.5. So I think the Rams, cool down the Colts momentum. Baltimore at Kansas City. Tough. Baltimore favored by 2.5. And I hate to do this because I'm a big Patrick Mahomes fan. I'm taking Baltimore. I know that they are also 1-2, just like the Chiefs. But what I've seen from the Chiefs hasn't really given me much excitement. I guess they're getting Worthy back, so that should be exciting. But I also think the Ravens have beaten themselves in 2 of the 3 games. I mean, I guess you could make the case that in 1 of the 3 games, in the first game, they should have won that game at Buffalo, but the Derrick Henry fumble kind of changed everything. The Detroit game, though, they had the ball with a chance to go take the lead, and Derrick Henry fumbled as well. So, but there, at least you could say they weren't leading, and they still needed to go down the field, score a touchdown. Credit Detroit. But I do think Baltimore, I just think they're more dynamic, and I think if it's about the offenses, I think Baltimore can deliver. Now, I do think Kansas City has a better defense, but I just haven't seen anything out of the Kansas City offense, to be honest. And I know the Baltimore defense has been atrocious, but the fact that they got embarrassed like that in Detroit makes me think that defense will be, they'll have their ears perked up a little bit more this week in meetings. And I think they'll play a little, I don't want to say that they'll play harder because I think these guys play hard every week, but there's got to be a sense of urgency there. And so is there with the Chiefs. But look, I'm just rambling because I don't want to pick against Mahomes, but I think Baltimore is going to win this game. And I'm not going to take the 2 points. I'll take the field goal. So give me Baltimore by more than 2.5. I'm sorry, Patrick Mahomes. Chicago in Las Vegas. This one's tough too, because I think if Chicago has playoff aspirations, this is a must win for them. But also, I didn't think Las Vegas would look as bad as they have the last couple of weeks. And I think they're coming home after being on the road, losing at a Washington team that, frankly, if the Raiders want to be taken seriously, they should have beaten because Jaden Daniels was not playing and they didn't look good. But I do trust their coaching and Pete Carroll. Geno Smith has played pretty badly the last 2 games. I think they need to get it right in Vegas. And I think Chicago is on such a high from smacking possibly the worst team in football that I think that they might be a little too confident. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Bears win, but I'm taking the Raiders at home by the 1.5. So I think the Raiders, kind of get it done. We'll see, though. That one's going to be close. Green Bay at Dallas. I'm taking Green Bay by more than 6.5 because, like I just mentioned, I think Dallas is possibly – it's them and the Saints and the Titans that I think are the worst teams in the league. And the Dallas defense is atrocious. And I think the Green Bay defense is really great. So just based on that, I'm taking the Packers all day. So I think they're going to win by more than 6.5. Monday Night Football games, we got the Jets at the Dolphins. Dolphins are favored by 2.5. They're 0-3. And I think, coming home, they didn't let go Mike McDaniel. They last played on the Thursday game, so they had extra time to rest and prepare. So I'm taking the Dolphins by more than the field goal here. Give me Miami. And Cincinnati at Denver. Denver's favored by 7.5. And I'm taking Denver to win. I'm just trying to see if I think it'll be by the 7.5 or not. And I'll say 7.5. That's kind of the half point scares me here. But you know what? I think Denver kind of gets back on track. I think the Bengals defense is going to start getting exposed here. So I'm going to take them by more than 7.5. So give me the Broncos. All right. So I am finalizing this so you guys can see it one last time about all my picks. And it should be a fun week of football. I'm so excited for this. And here we go. We're almost done here. All right, last ones. Oh, by the way, the Seattle Arizona Thursday night game ended up being close. I got it wrong because I had Arizona, and that one was a mistake. But it did get feisty there at the end. I thought that, really it was just that kickoff that kind of messed it up for the Cardinals and gave great field position to Seattle. And Sam Darnold played lights out. I mean, he was pretty damn great. So got to give him credit. And yeah, this is the board. This is what we're looking at. We got our picks. You guys enjoy some football, and I can't wait to talk to you all to recap that. And also, like I said, man, I'm gonna do a quick little pod besides this that I'll probably put up tomorrow. We need to talk about WNBA because the playoffs are ramping up, and they're pretty fun to watch. So, all right, I'll talk to you guys soon. But enjoy some NFL football and enjoy college football if you're watching today.